Welcome today to Elite Vortex. Wait, where's the boss event? So apparently there's a bug in the game right now which Punji BTD6 has a video on explaining that if you have a brand new account in which you have not yet defeated Elite Vortex or any kind of that manner, if you try and do the event, the game will crash. So we're a bit of a fork road as to what we should be doing today, and honestly I just want to talk about this game in general. There is more features in this game than there has ever been. You've got your territory events, which unfortunately I never really cover because I'm not contested territory. That's the one. That's not my sort of thing. Races are not my sort of thing as well, where you try and do a particular scenario as quickly as possible. Like, this is something that I've never really gotten into, and honestly when I always play like on double cash mode for boss events or chimps mode in general, this is the sort of thing that just takes away the consistency of the game. It's just like you have to press a certain button in order to get through the rounds more quickly, as in like summon like 10 rounds worth of balloons all at once to get the fastest time. Like, I'm not that sort of thing going on there when it comes to how to play the game, but obviously there's always a fan base of this sort of thing, so this feature is more healthier than it is a detriment to the game itself. Although you do get those hacked leaderboards where you have a stupid time which does not compute with the other other things going on there. Also, there's going to be a collection event at some point, which is pretty cool. So when you go into boss challenge, it will say the next event is in 2 days. It said that 2 days ago. I know, I'm just kidding, but it was supposed to be a 1-2 tree, but then it was pulled because of the reason I said at the beginning of the video. You've got your daily challenges, which is always a nice thing to have. You've got your standard challenge, and then you've got your advanced challenge, in which the likes of Punji or Ethan Reed always covers on their channel on how to beat the challenge in and of itself. You even have co-op challenges where you would need to join up with at least another person or 2 or 3 in order to actually get through the challenge itself, which is pretty cool. It's a fun way in order to get other people on board when it comes to a challenge and go through that scenario. Then you got your featured tab with BTN joining the fray in that game, Bloons Tower Battles 2, which is honestly a pretty cool take because obviously the bees act as like the drones, which is pretty nice. Although somebody on Reddit suggested that there should be like a bee skin for Corvus, like the queen bee being like the spirit in of itself, which would actually be a very, very cool idea, and have like a honey hive comb thing being like the spell book. And also just seeing all of this here is pretty cool. It's very subtle in the game. It's not like just looking at you at all times like in other games, like let's say in a Activision game where they just plaster the entire interface with monetary insanities, which is really annoying. And Odysseys, custom scenarios where you go through a particular set of tracks and you are able to try and defeat them and get some money and some trophies. Obviously that all goes towards trying to get some trophy items throughout the store. I honestly don't know what to do with my trophies, so I always put them on a standby just in case if I want to buy something in the future, like let's say if I want a particular banner that's just going to release, then I've got the trophies for it. It's sort of like money in real life. You don't want to just splurge it just because you have it. Save it for something in which you really, really want, like your elf hats or your red nose or your Santa hats or your trucker hats. Or if you really, really want to die to a DDT in a Christmas fashion, then get yourself a Doomslay DDT. You can go about this game in any different way in which you want. You can, let's say for a casual player, play a Monkey Meadow and just play on easy mode. You are not like, you're not forced to go for the hard mode on the most difficult setting. This for some people is incredibly off-putting. You can't put your farms down, you can't earn any alternate income, you can't start with double cash, which some people always frown upon because it's like this mode that just is pay to win. In a certain way I do agree, but at the same time you're paying to play this game anyways in order to actually, you know, win in the game. So it's like you're just adding a little bit more to that pile, and also you're supporting Ninja as well by doing that. But yeah, half cash is the real like most difficult thing. Like just let's just move on from half cash, honestly. And speaking of difficulty, you're not forced to play the advanced maps or the expert maps. You can go about this game in any way, shape or form. It's not like a story where it leads you down on a linear path where you have to do a certain set of requests or certain set of quests in order to actually advance through the game. Like, obviously you are restricted when you first create an account as to like what maps you can play on. You can't just suddenly create a new account and suddenly be able to play on quad, for example. You need to progress through the beginner maps and then proceed through the intermediate maps and then advanced maps and then expert maps. You get the drill. But again, it is sort of a way a linear if you want to play on a more difficult map on a brand new account, but you're not like, you're not tied down because you just naturally like unlock these through progressing through the game. You're not forced because of the game itself in a way, but at the same time you kind of are, but it doesn't feel forced because you're naturally playing the game itself. And if I remember right, you don't have to complete chimps on beginner maps in order to actually like unlock intermediate maps and advanced maps or expert maps. I think you just have to complete it's been such a long time since I've actually gone backwards to the time in which like I would see that the game requires you to progress through a certain amount of advanced maps on a certain difficulty in order to actually progress through to a more difficult map. So don't take my word for it, but I believe you have to at least complete a set number of maps on a particular difficulty first before you go to another map. But that's honestly the beauty of it because there's natural progression. Heroes, you've got more heroes than ever that do different things. Like, all of these heroes in their own ways are brilliant. Like, there isn't one hero that I would say that they're completely useless. I would say Corvus, if you're a micro against sort of player, is certainly one which is very anti-non like micro, because he is definitely a microing hero, and at one point he could just simply solo an entire chimps game. And they all have a different progression when it comes to how quickly they level up. Obviously, like the starting 4 heroes and Etienne level up the fastest, and then you got Churchill and Adora that level up the slowest, and then in the next stage it's like Rosalia and I've forgotten which one is now, but there's like 4 different sets of level progression depending on the hero. But I definitely know that Churchill and Adora are the slowest, but unlike Churchill, Adora has some way to force herself to be able to level up faster without using money. Actually, in a way it is using money, but it's using the money that you used to place down towers in the first place. Good old Adora. And you got different damage types. You've got medium-ish range, you've got long range at some point, you've got very short range. It's all overlapping and in their own ways brilliant when it comes to a healthy, diverse sort of player base, because you don't want to be stuck with one particular playstyle. Sorta is very simple to grasp. Azili is more situational, where you would use her on, let's say, alternate balloons rounds, because then the only weakness she truly has are like purples outside of Heartstopper when she reaches level 3. Gwen engulfs the battlefield. Jones can provide you explosives, some means of being able to actually pop black balloons as ever balloons. Open Greenfoot benefits magical monkeys, especially druids. Rosalia acts on her own in her own ways and be able to grant reduction costs to all aerial units like the Heli and the Ace. Churchill is a powerhouse. Ben generates money, obviously not a thing that you do in chimps. Pat supports your towers around you. I said about Azili earlier. Etienne is able to provide global camo detection. Brickle is able to deploy down mega mines in order to just instantly annihilate Moabs at some given points of time. Psy can attack anywhere and does not require line of sight, although they are quite slow at attacking, and they can't just like pop a lead balloon right off the bat or ceramic off the bat, which is actually a unique like feature that's only available to Psy, where they are not able to pop a ceramic. Like they can pop up to a rainbow balloon, but there's also like leads and purples, which you sorry, my bad, I didn't mean to say fatty invert, that just came to mind. Apologies for that. They can't directly pop purple balloons and Moabs and all that jazz. And obviously I talked about Corvus earlier, and Geraldo keeps getting himself nerfed into the ground when it comes to his items, and also inflation hitting him. Poor Geraldo, he can no longer get a fair deal. Is he even fair trade anymore? Also, rip Grunkus the hero. You shall be remembered in our hearts. This used to be 44, by the way, but then Ninja Kiwi patched it out. And you got collection events that happen seasonally or mid-season. There might be a small collection event that happens, and the different Insta Monkeys you can get as random, or you can get set Insta Monkeys, but still feels like really random, and the pocket of opportunity is incredibly small when it comes to, let's say, if you want a particular village which you can't get because the game keeps giving you another variant instead. Just allow us to select which combination at some point, or what somebody had, which was a good idea, is to have like a marketplace where you're seeking this particular insta, but in exchange I want that particular insta. I think that would be a great idea to complete collection events. But I can understand, sorry, of like how difficult that could be to implement within the game. And Mermonkeys, like, I've been put off from collection events for a little bit just because I don't really have the incentive to keep pursuing those instas, because of the fact that it feels like I'm just gonna get another insta which I've already gotten like 15 times already. It feels like the dice rolls on something which I have already got. And for new players to the game, I think quests are a fantastic way in order for you as a new player to be able to get used to the heroes without obviously going into a real scenario and feeling completely spooked out. Wait. Oh, there's a Door Explorer. And don't feel overwhelmed, and the game is giving you a basic tutorial on how to use each hero, what each of their abilities are, what each of their shticks are. And don't feel hugely overwhelmed by the game itself. Obviously, each of these have like custom rounds, so they're like a once in a, I was about to say once in a lifetime experience, but more like a once in a scenario experience. And obviously challenges, you've... Bleh. Good. Also, we don't talk about protect the allegations, but yeah, fast upgrades. That's still something I've yet to go after. That's, I've heard, is really cool. Phase 1 on Sulphur Springs, intense balloon rounds. Never really done that, unfortunately. Moab Mavis, I've explored a few times trying to get every single pot with a particular tower. And what I'm saying right now diverges back to my original point midway throughout the video, is that you can play this game any way in which you want, depending on what kind of player in which you are. Like, obviously, like certain quests you would want to do because you want to get that tower. So let's say you want to complete the epic beast quest because you want to unlock the beast handler, or complete mer monkeys, no mere monkeys. Wait a minute, it was a progression bar last time, wasn't it, in order to get this, wasn't it? Yeah, you have to earn a certain amount of experience, wasn't it? Wasn't that right? And then Ninja Kiwi took away the fastest way in order to get experience to get this unlocked. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. And there are a lot of players out there that can just easily do any map on any difficulty. Like say the top player could just, let's say, load on Mesa, for example, and be able to defeat the chimps mode without even thinking about it, just because they're so good at the game. And I myself, I'm always finding myself somewhere in between the beginning point and the end point when it comes to skill tiers. I think that I'm competent enough at this game in order to actually go through a scenario and understand what the towers do, most of their synergies with balloons or other towers. But my huge difficulty is placements and microing the targeting priority of certain towers in order to actually get the maximum out of it, which is my huge barrier. Like, I look at these maps and I'm like, how the bloody hell do I even contemplate getting through this scenario? And I think Glacial Trail is like one of the top 5 most difficult maps because of the freezing mechanic. But yet people are like, this is not a true expert map because of X and Y reasons, which I personally disagree. But at the end of the day, who am I to know certain things? I just feel like 20% of the time a lot of your towers are completely useless is a huge barrier of difficulty, and I feel like 40% of the time geared is a huge barrier of difficulty because most of my towers would then be completely useless. Even though I have completed on chimps, it wasn't easy, and it's not Black Border. So next I want to talk about what you want to see next in Bloons Tower Defense 6. If I were to ever have one request, and this is related towards bosses, is to have a boss edit challenge scenario. Like having your own set of rules, like increasing or decreasing the boss's health. It could even be put like in a challenge editor sort of thing, where it has its own like leaderboard, not its own leaderboard, but its own like way of finding a boss event, in which can be, again, could be a difficulty thing where you would want it to be an easier time for you in order to learn the ropes on how to clear a boss event by like doing it in bite size. So you start from like 10% health going all the way up to like 500% health, or however the max is. Again, you can play this game however you want, and you're not going to be hounded at by other people unless you obviously put your own opinions on the internet, which is what I'm doing right now, in which people will always look at you with some sort of frown because you said something in which they entirely disagree with. That's just the nature of the internet and the dichotomy of everything that the internet is, especially nowadays where it feels like only negativity gets rewarded and only negativity has any kind of long-term value, because people are always trying to find a way in order to dig into other people's skins, which is honestly not cool at all. I like it when everybody is positive, but obviously it takes all sorts of people to make a world. So I would have a boss event challenge editor. That would be my one thing that I would like to see in Bloons Tower Defense 6 as a whole. But now, I want to talk about something in which probably other people have talked about, and that's the new Battle Cat power. Now, I'm just going to scroll through all of these, and I would like for you to point something out in which all of these have in common, which the Battle Cat doesn't have. Okay, they all have an add for button, so I can, if I want to, use in-game money which I've earned to be able to buy a certain number of tech bots. For example, using in-game money. I'm not using my own money, unless of course I bought a monkey money pile, in which other people have done using my creator support code, which I'm thoroughly appreciative of. But with the Battle Cat, I wish there was a way in which you can buy more of these, in-game, rather than just having the 3 in which you unlock from the quest itself. You have to spend real money in order to get the Battle Cat, more than 3, which I can see from Ninja Kiwi's perspective. It's like, if they're struggling financially, then they need another way outside of everything else they have in the store. Let's say Battle Cat Prestige Pack, Fast Track, Pets Fun Pack, Parlor Monkey Money Sale. Obviously you want to get more money, then obviously that's a way to do that. Double Cash Mode, Mud Monkey Unlock Pack, which for me I would only actually benefit from having from the banner, avatar, and some tier 5 instance of that. But in a certain way, for the player, it is really discouraging if you are a person that wants to use this new feature, but you can only actually use it 3 at a time. So you've got to be very careful in your usages of the Battle Cat, otherwise you would then be forced to use real life money in order to get more of these battle cats. Or I think there's like a smaller version of this where you would like just get a booster pass. So let's say if you don't want the tier 5s, then you can spend half the money to still get the battle cats, but don't get like the emblem and the banner and the tier 5 instas here. But honestly, you could spin this however you want, and you can come up with an argument to say that there is a point towards having something that is money gated, which I don't like using because you've already spent money in order to buy something within game. But it's like Ninja Kiwi can't simply just survive from the purchase of the game itself. They need other means in order to actually financially support their staff and their premises and be able to put food on the table, etc. Like, there are real working people developing this game, putting new content towards each and every single update and work on the game, Q&A, another QA, quality assurance, and questions and answers, obviously, when they go through different things within their meetings, obviously. But from a player, this is negative in certain cases, because it's like, in order to actually access a particular feature within the game, you have to spend money using the hours in which you have spent, in your real life job in order to actually buy something like this. But I think at the end of the day, I think this is neither a positive or a negative, because there are positive and negatives for both sides. Like, obviously Ninja Kiwi probably thought perhaps we should implement it similarly towards other powers, like have it so that you would use in-game money in order to actually purchase a battle cat if they wanted to. But then on the other flip side, it's like, perhaps we should make this a bit more exclusive to people that are more willing to support us, like those who really want to use this feature. And I don't want to say that this is overall a negative thing or a positive thing. I just want to say that you can't operate your body without blood, oxygen, water, etc. Just like Ninja Kiwi can't keep giving us new updates every 2 months or so without some form of being able to continuously be able to support their games, their new endeavors. They've got a new IP in Fightland or something, which is like a rogue battle game. I only briefly looked over the synopsis of it, and it's not something that appeals to me, but I'm pretty sure that other people have played this game. They're like, hey, maybe I would like to dig into that game, because I'm sort of into those games. I'm not too sure, if you like Cult of the Lamb, you could also be in that sort of scenario, but maybe they're different kind of fighting games. Achievements are another thing, something to go for, either in co-op or on your own. There's a certain number of these in which I have definitely not completed. Most of these are either co-op or territorial related. I've never gone student loans, even though I have my own version of student loans called IRL student loans. Thank you very much, university. I've never really done anything with that really in my entire life. It's just nice to have a degree on your table, but it feels like nowadays degrees are a minimal requirement rather than, let's say, a privilege or something that you feel like you've earned, where it feels like nowadays you kind of have to do a degree in something in order to actually get your foot in the door. Not less getting your whole body in the door. No, just get your foot in the door. So like say, when I go to two mega parks. So here we go. Complete a game of chimps with more than 2 million damage dealt by one tower. Now, I think for the casual player, they will probably think, what the bloody hell? One tower essentially doing a huge majority of the damage within one of the most difficult scenarios within the game. That is quite off-putting, I understand. Or 2 tower chimps. Complete a game in chimps difficulty using only 2 monkey towers. That another is like when I started this channel, when I looked at this achievement, it's like, how the bloody hell do you do that? how do I even encroach going towards this? And obviously for me personally, I've improved over time and I can do a few different combinations of 2 TCs. I think one of the most satisfying ones to do ever is a 2 engineer 2 tower chimps. So it's like you put down your Century Champion, and then you'd have to go cleansing foam obviously first for those camos and early leads, but it's like you go up to Century Champion first, then get Overclock, then Ultra Boost. But it's something again where it's like I don't have to use Central Champion to get the 2 TC achievement. I don't have to use Primary Expertise to get the 2 TC achievement, even though that's bloody hard to perform. I don't have to use Carbo Spice to get the 2 TC scenario, although I think this tower nowadays is pretty much dead. Obviously you can't use Banana Farms. Like, you don't have to use Lord of the Abyss, you don't have to use Poseidon. Superstorm, don't have to use. Spirit Forest, don't have to use. Heavily advised against Avatar of Wrath. But it's like, you can go about this game in any way, shape or form. Obviously you can't afford True Sun God or Legend of the Night. And you can, I think there's only one combination with this that is currently viable, which is the Pod. Sun Temple. But like I said, you can go about this game in any way, different shape or form, depending on what kind of player you are. You don't have to conform to people who say you have to beat this game on an incredibly difficult map, trying to go after at least one achievement. So let's say the 2 Megapulse achievement. You don't have to go on workshop to beat chimps without failing even one round, doing the 2 Megapulse achievement as well, in order to actually have some form of opinion. That is something in which probably some people say, and I'd say ignore those, because they are the absolute sweats of this game that don't really know what it's like to, let's say, start from the beginning, just because they progress so far within their skill ladder at this game. And I think that this game should be open to everyone, as long as you're not somebody with a toxic mindset and want to negatively affect the community. I don't know. I just think there are 2 kinds of people in this world: nice people and nasty people, and I'd rather have a community for the nice people. Constructive criticism is different from being nasty, by the way. Like, constructive criticism given in the correct format is obviously something that is beneficial towards all, not just the person in which that constructive criticism is primarily aligned to. Primary. But anyways, let me know what you thought of this video. I know it's a bit of a different video from my usual stuff. Also, let me know what Paragon would you like to see next. If I was to choose one from each category, I would want to see... honestly, a supporting Paragon might be very good. So, Glue Gunner, military... honestly, I know this is not a good pick, but I want a Mortar Paragon, to be honest. And call him Oppenheimer, or... no, not Oppenheimer. Sherlockenheimer. Combining Sherlock Holmes and Oppenheimer. Obviously Druid. And support, I already said in the name, is Spikes. I want to see that as a Paragon next. It would be the most expensive one, honestly, because of the cost of super mines. But we all know that the most expensive Paragon that there will ever be is a Super Monkey Paragon. I could see it being like 2 million. No, wait, not even 2, like 2.5 million. But that's like on easy mode. But like, you'd have to get the Paragon first to then get the VTSG, because obviously to actually, I think once you get like in a similar vein where you can only get one True Sun God if you're playing co-op, like regardless of how many players, you can only have one True Sun God. Like if another player tried to construct it, it just wouldn't be open for them. So that could be a similar factor actually. So if you get Super Monkey Paragon, you cannot get a VTSG, if you get what I mean. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the video down in the comment sections below. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see me do next in the future. And have a lovely day, everybody.